So yeah, so now that you can see my screen, so I was just on the main page before, and then I was highlighting these tabs at the top, which you can see after you've logged in with your Wikipedia login. And each of them are quite important, but right now let's talk about the watch list. So people who edit Wikipedia regularly have these watch lists, and what it is simply any page that I've worked on recently, it goes on my watch list, and I can then see if somebody else changes that page. So for me, I've got nearly 600 pages that I'm watching. So basically every day when I check my emails, I also check this. So 21st of July, these are the changes, and I'll look at each of them, and I can do that within seconds because I know exactly what to look for. But just to give you an example, so on, let's say here, talk climate change. So this means somebody has written on the talk page of climate change. I can click here on diff, which shows me the difference. So what this person has done. So this is just a minor edit. And, or for example, here there's a page called eco-anxiety. I go again on diff, and I see what this person has done here. So they've changed the publisher, and I can say, yeah, that seems fine. If I spot something that's not fine, I can just click here on undo, and I would put in the edit summary, I would put why I've undone it. So I would put there reverted vandalism, for example, or unexplained removal of text, or this, yeah. So, but you can see it's very easy to just click undo if there's something that was bad. And I can also click thank. So if somebody makes a nice, very clever or something good, I can click thank, and they get a little notification. That's kind of nice when that happens. So when I see here change and I'm not sure, then I click often on this person's profile. So this is user Rod, and straight away it feels like, okay, that looks impressive. You know, somebody's been around a long time. And I can also click on that person's user contributions, so I can see what they've been doing, you know, how active they've been, and yeah. And I can also look on their talk page. This is a short talk page. He's put stuff in his archive, he or she. But if it's like, let's say I was looking at so I'm doing, this is like my quality assurance process, you know. So if I was looking at somebody's profile that looks completely different to this person's, I might get immediately suspicious about that person's intentions. So for example, let me try this Scottish Finnish radish. So that's another user. Yeah, so it looks all right on first sight. But sometimes you get to that page and there's nothing there, and then you go to that person's talk page and other people have complained to that person, what are you doing? And then you basically know. So, but this is important because when you start editing, people will also look at your profile page. So make sure there's something on your profile page that instills some confidence, but you don't have to say who you are or who you work for. Most people do it kind of anonymously, but some people give their real name. It's up to you, but I normally wouldn't say that you should do that. But make sure that you keep that in mind when you edit, that other people will check you out, especially when you're new, and especially if you're making big changes. So do we still have time for more on this quality assurance aspect?
Yes, I think keep going.
Okay. So the other thing about the quality is when we look at articles that have been changed, you have to, when people add new content, so I'm going back to this watch list and I'm just going to, let's say, Paris Agreement. And then here, if I click on View History, I can see changes that have been made recently. So this person here has added stuff about human rights aspects with the Paris Agreement. And they have, maybe one thing I should point out, when you see this text, it looks like it's basically this HTML way of looking at it, but you can also do this, click here on visual, then you see the change in a simpler way with color. So you can see the changes in green here. So, but what I want to say is, so let's say this person has added content. The question is, have they got a reliable source for their content, or did they just put it because they thought this would be good? So it's important to check these sources. So with any content in Wikipedia, there is these little numbers at the end, which is the reference that is used, which is shown here at the bottom. And there is a certain system in Wikipedia that says which kinds of things are allowed as references. Can I use just somebody's blog page, or should I be using peer-reviewed articles? You can imagine what the answer is. So there's obviously sort of a hierarchy of what are reliable sources. We call it reliable sources. And this article on the Paris Agreement is actually a good article. It's got this little label here at the top right, which means it's gone through a process and it's been deemed a good article, which means these references will all be quite valid. But not many articles have this label here. It's quite a process to get there. But if you want to know how Wikipedia defines reliable sources, there is some information about it inside of Wikipedia. So I type here reliable sources into the search field. So this is the Wikipedia search field, but if I put WP at the front, WP:, then I'll be searching inside of the guidance materials for Wikipedia. So if you have any question, you actually just put WP:, and then you search for it. So this one here explains what reliable sources are, and it's worth just going through that. But people, you guys will be well aware of this kind of thing. It's like bread and butter for scientists to know. But other people are not so used to it. They might use like some blog and take that as a reliable source, but not recommended. And then in general, to get help, so you can put WP again. So I'm going to search inside. Let's see what comes up if I put WP help. Yeah, so this gets you to a help page which has got lots of links. You can find help. Yeah, so let's say I want to know more about the manual of style that Wikipedia uses. I put WP manual of style. I get to this. Everything is explained here, capital letters, calendar items. It's huge. It's a lot of information. But with most things, you don't really read the manual. You just go ahead and do it. And then once you get into it, it's all learning by doing. But what I just wanted to say, if there is questions, this is how you find answers, other than asking someone like me, or it's always good to have an experienced person on tap to ask. Okay, I think that's all for part 1.